This is your first Q&A time writing at 120 words per minute. Your proper names are Dr. Gould and MRI. Ready? At the time you were treating at the center, did they provide you with splints for your wrists?
Yes, they did.
When were they provided to you?
I'm sorry, I can't remember.
When did you start having symptoms in your left hand?
I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Up until September of 2013, had you been doing any kind of regular exercise?
I had some hobbies, but I wasn't doing anything much.
What were your hobbies during the year 2013?
I like to lift weights and go for long walks.
What kind of weights do you do?
I don't do them anymore, but I just used free weights.
Did you work out at home or did you belong to a gym?
I worked out at home.
What was the weight you could lift? How many pounds?
At that time, I was up to 40 pounds each.
During that same period of time, did you ever compete?
No, I didn't.
Have you ever belonged to a gym?
Yes, I did many years ago.
How long ago was it?
It was at some point in the 1990s.
Can you narrow that down, please?
Let's see. The last time I belonged to a gym was in 1998.
When you belonged to the gym, did you lift weights?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember how much you could lift back then?
I'm sorry, I can't remember.
When you belonged to the gym, did you ever use a personal trainer?
Yes, for a very brief period.
Do you recall how long you worked with a trainer?
I'm sorry, I can't remember.
As part of your training program at the gym, did you do any running?
No, I don't think so.
At the time of the accident, did you have any hobbies?
No, not really.
At the time of the accident, were you exercising regularly?
No.
Sometimes I'm deposing someone for hand pain and find out they've been at home knitting. Do you knit?
No, I don't.
Do you like to crochet or embroider? Anything of that sort?
No, I don't.
Do you have any children?
I have one daughter.
How old is your daughter?
6.
When did your neck start to bother you?
It was exactly a year ago.
When your neck began to bother you, were you already off work due to your hand injury?
Yes, I was.
Did you have to take a leave of absence for the hand injury?
Yes, I did.
When was that?
I'm sorry, I can't recall.
What kind of symptoms did you have in your neck?
It was a burning and tingling pain.
In what part of your neck was it centered?
The back of my neck and the upper shoulder area.
Was the pain worse on one side of your neck than the other?
It was on both sides when it first started.
Who were you treating with for your neck pain?
Her name is Dr. Gould.
Was she treating you for anything other than your neck pain?
No.
What kind of treatment did she give you for your neck pain?
She was giving me shots for the pain once a month.
Has there been any improvement in your neck?
No, I can't say there has been.
Would you say your neck has gotten worse since you've been treating with Dr. Gould?
Off and on, yes.
Is there any particular activity you do that might make it feel worse?
Any kind of movement seems to make it hurt more.
Did Dr. Gould order an MRI for your neck?
Yes.
When did you? This is your second Q&A time writing at 120 words per minute. Your proper names are Dottie and Eagle. Ready? Do you recall about how much work she did have to miss because of the accident at that time?
I can't recall.
You recall the circumstances of her return to work after the accident?
Yes.
Can you describe her appearance? For example, when she returned after the accident.
She was black and blue, mostly under her eyes and the center part of her face. She came back on a part-time basis.
For how long did she work on a part-time basis after the accident?
I really can't recall.
Did you understand that her working only part-time was a result of her injuries from the accident?
Yes.
Can you describe any other effects that the accident had on her that you observed?
Dottie seemed to have trouble in concentrating. I can think of one time where she was trying to write a memo and she was having trouble in formulating her thoughts and planning the memo.
Did you serve as a way to assist her and kind of compensate for the problems she was having?
Yes.
How did you perform that function for her?
I wrote the memo. I presented it to her and reminded her of a lot of details she would just sort of forget, and convinced her to attempt to go home and relax.
You perceived that she was not capable of working a full day?
I perceived that she was very tired. I can't judge if she was capable or not. She wanted to try to do her job. She wanted to be where she was supposed to be when she was supposed to be there. And it was difficult pushing herself.
I suppose what I'm getting at is, why did you find yourself in a position of trying to encourage her to go home?
Because she looked bad. She was tired. The best way I can describe her is her personality was dulled.
Can you describe how that compares with the way she was before the accident?
Before the accident, she seemed very enthusiastic about her job and the office and the way things were going. After the accident, she just seemed to be able to go from hour to hour.
You would not describe her as dull before the accident?
No, I would not.
What exactly do you mean when you say she seemed dull when she returned to the job after her accident?
Her thought process seemed hazy.
Did she seem to have trouble organizing her thoughts, for example?
She did.
Did she seem to have trouble expressing her thoughts?
Yes.
You've already stated she had problems with fatigue on the job at the office.
Yes.
Did she have trouble with headaches?
I don't remember.
Can you describe her temperament? Let's see. Before the accident, you stated that she seemed enthusiastic about Eagle.
Yes, she was. She seemed normal before it happened. She seemed fine and, as I said, pleased about her work and happy. She felt self-confidence that I didn't see after the accident.
Would you say that she was energetic before the accident?
Mostly so.
Did she retain that level of energy after the accident?
No.
Would you describe her as a complainer before this accident?
No.
Did you have the impression that Dottie was trying to overcome her problems and deal with the job to get it accomplished?
Correct. As I explained, she wanted to be where she was supposed to be at the time she was supposed to be there. And she didn't like the idea that she couldn't push herself to be there
Sorry about that. My throat was giving out. This is your first Q&A time writing at 100 words per minute. Your proper names are Mr. Gunn, Leroy Gunn, Tyler Street, Moss Point, Mississippi, Gulf Breeze, James Monroe, July, Mark Roberts, Contusions, Lacerations, and Clarissa. Ready? Mr. Gunn, can you hear adequately?
Correct, I can.
Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Leroy Gunn, 400 Tyler Street, Moss Point, Mississippi.
What is your age?
58.
What is your occupation?
Fisherman.
Who do you work for?
Gulf Breeze.
How long have you worked for Gulf Breeze?
Approximately 28 years.
Continuously?
Yes, each season.
And you are a mate now, is that right?
Yes.
And you are in the off season presently, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you have occasion while at Gulf Breeze during that period to work with a James Monroe?
Yes, certainly did.
Do you recall how many years you worked with Monroe?
Not quite a season.
And in what position was Mr. Monroe?
Ring setter on the captain vessel.
Which season did you work with Mr. Monroe?
Could possibly have been 93 that we worked.
Were you on the boat with Mr. Monroe in 1994?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall Mr. Monroe hurting himself in 1994?
No, I don't remember his getting injured.
Okay. Did you ever learn of any injury that he claimed to have had while on the vessel?
To my knowledge, it was around July.
Okay. What did you find out in July?
I really didn't find out anything. I was questioned if I knew anything about him getting hurt, and I said no.
And who asked you?
Mark.
Mark Roberts, the personnel manager?
Correct.
And did you give a statement regarding anything that you might have known?
Correct, I did.
Did you at any time after that find out what had happened, if anything, to Mr. Monroe?
I never found out anything that really happened to him on the boat. No, sir.
Do you know of an injury Mr. Monroe might have sustained off the vessel during 1994?
Well, the crew members and I was sitting on deck, and he made a statement that his girlfriend had beat him up, and he displayed bruises and contusions all over his body.
Explain to me, that was during 1994?
That occurred in July.
In July.
Correct.
And where was the vessel at that time?
Out on the water in the Gulf.
In our waters or Mississippi waters?
Our waters.
And what did he show you specifically as far as any bruises or cuts or scrapes or anything?
Specifically what he showed me?
Correct.
He pulled his jacket off and showed us the contusions and the lacerations that was put on him using a 2x4.
Okay. And did he relate who did this to him?
Clarissa, his girlfriend.
Okay. Did he relate when she had done this to him?
I don't recall the exact day or evening, but he went to another woman's residence and she surprised him and he was intoxicated. Okay? She caught him and beat him down on his knees with some lumber. Regarding the statement he made on the vessel,
This is your second Q&A time writing at 100 words per minute. Your proper names are Major Stone, Sheriff Paul, Lieutenant Brown, and Clark County. Ready? Did you try the receptionist at the executive offices to try to reach Major Stone or the chief?
no.
I want to go through the order of calls because I'm not certain I have it correct. On the third call, the sheriff's office called and left a message with the dispatcher, and then you called.
They were speaking to the dispatcher and she called me on the radio.
So then you picked up the call.
No. Then I called them back.
You called back.
Correct.
You communicated with the dispatcher. You left a message, and then you got a direct number and called Sheriff Paul.
I don't think he's the sheriff. I think he's a lieutenant.
Lieutenant?
Right. I advised him that I would be en route there because I couldn't get in touch with Lieutenant Brown or the chief or the major. They had requested somebody come out immediately because of the disturbance that this guy was causing.
What was the name of the guy causing the disturbance?
I don't remember that right offhand. I have it written down somewhere.
Do you remember the name of the guy that was initially apprehended by the sheriff for whom they called you the first time?
No, I don't remember his name either. However, I do have that written down.
The last call with the sheriff's office, when you informed them that you would come here and retrieve the badge, do you recall approximately what time that was? Just approximately. Was it around lunchtime or in the afternoon?
I know it was before lunch because I was speaking to them as I was en route there. Let me interrupt you for a second. It seems that I'm picking up exactly where you're going with this. I know I'm totally uncomfortable with what you're doing. I think that the investigation is geared to more of why I went down to the sheriff's office rather than why we had people impersonating police officers, because all of your questions are geared to my actions and not theirs.
At this point in time, it is.
I'm not going to answer any more questions without my counsel here.
If you don't answer the questions, it may result in some action against you.
I'm not telling you I'm not going to answer them. I'm just telling you I'm not going to answer them without my counsel present. I will set up a time where I can get my counsel here to represent me. It seems like you're conducting an investigation of why I went to the sheriff's office and not why we had personnel impersonating police officers.
That is correct.
Thank you. That wasn't what I was told. I know that doesn't have any bearing on you.
Tell me what you were told.
I was told that I was coming here to give a depo in regards to the situation with the men down in Clark County and the ones impersonating police officers. I was not told
Stop.